Hi guys, Barry here. So we're about 3 months into this project, this garden that we set up down here in Ballinhassig. We've made a lot of progress over the last 3 months. It's the middle of winter now, it's like the 1st of December and the weather has been pretty bad, so we've just been mostly doing a lot of preparation work for the springtime and for the next year's growing season, so I always find it is a great time to start a garden in the winter. Like we apply the principles of permaculture here as best we can, and the first principle is to observe, and because there's not a whole lot going on this time of the year, even though you need to work on a few things, it gives you that opportunity to just chill out and actually observe the piece of land you're on, the surroundings, the interaction between the light and how the light declines in the winter, and the position of the sun in the sky and all that kind of stuff, and just gives you time, to actually take in the garden and plan for the spring, rather than just starting in springtime, and having to dig and trying to get everything organized and not really having that time to relax and look at what's going on around you. So that's what we're able to do here now. I won't talk too much more. We'll just go down, we'll have a look, and we'll see what's going on. So this area here behind us was just totally overgrown, and this is where we said we'd reclaim a bit of land here, and the first thing we thought was important was going forward was definitely going to be build fertility. We wanted to bring in as little as possible onto this site, so to build fertility for us we needed a few different methods. So the number one was always going to be building compost. So we had a lot of stuff. I was playing around with a few different methods, trying to figure out how to get the right formula for hot compost, especially this time of the year when you're not going to have that abundance of nitrogen rich green materials. So luckily enough I was able to source a lot of spent coffee grounds for that. So we've got a compost system here over my shoulder to the left. Right back here behind me in that bathtub we have our worm farm, and the next part of our fertility stream that we have are the chickens. So our plan with the chickens is they'll be providing us with loads of high quality chicken manure, which we can then in turn compost, and we'll also operate like a deep mulch chicken litter on the floor in their pen, so we can just dump any large amounts of carbon that we find, like leaves, straw, wood chip, whatever we have. If we have anything left over, we can dump it inside the pen. It'll make a nice little microclimate for microorganisms and for like little bugs and stuff like that that live inside there. Then the chickens will benefit from that, and we can also dig that up underneath it, and as it breaks down into compost and fine humus, we can use that in the gardens. And we also have a store of carbon material for our composting. The worms there behind us, so we have just converted that bathtub. We've got another video on how I made the worm farm, but that's also producing a worm compost tea, which is a highly potent fertilizer, and I pretty much don't have to do anything with that. I just keep the drum. I think it's just a bit heavy rain the last few days, so the drum is now just about full, so it's producing fertilizer depending on how much rain we have. Sometimes it's full twice a week, especially this time of the year, so that can be used directly in the garden. It can be added to the compost. You know, it's just a force multiplier, like for fertility. So we'll just go in a bit closer now and we'll have a look at a few of the different systems. Like, my goal with the compost here is hopefully by springtime having 5 meters of compost ready to go, so I can start adding it to the gardens, which will bring a massive abundance of food for us. And ideally, you know, like having a system as well here, like in the gardens, where it's closed loop, so that like you're creating all your own material as well for your composting. That is, in the ideal world, that would be perfect. Like, but at the moment, any organic matter, no matter where I can get it from, I get my hands on it, I take it in, you know. Like that coffee shop there, Three Fools in Cork, like amazing bunch of lads. Like, they've been giving me roughly about 15 kilograms of coffee every day, like from their spent coffee that would, you know, it'd normally be going in the bins, like heading out to the landfill, like, but I've been able to take it here and compost that, like, and it's just a fantastic resource. Also, there's a few people that give me, like, I know I have a few friends that keep horses, so I've been able to collect the horse manure. Another friend, that a farmer, that was able to give me a pile of cow manure. So any resources like that, organic matter, I've been able to collect, and I will turn that into food, like, you know. So, and that's just, you know, it's mad to think how stuff people are just throwing out, like organic matter like that, can be turned into food, you know. So we'll go in now, like I said, and we'll have a look at some of the other systems that are in place, like the composting. So now this is our compost system here. Probably one of the most important parts of our garden and our household. Allows us to organically recycle the majority of, like, everything other than plastic, really, you know. We try to keep as low amount of plastic as we can, use as little as possible, and where we can reuse it. But everything else pretty much goes into the compost in one way or another. Like, all our dinner scraps go to the chickens, any cardboard, paper, everything else kind of gets shredded up and comes down here and ends up in one of these piles. So a quick run through how it works. We have our first bay, which we call bay 1. That's where we start everything off. We put in all our chicken manure, goes in there, or straw from the chickens, food scraps, like some of the cuttings from the kitchen that the chickens aren't going to eat. Like, we've got a big bag over here of spent coffee, which we keep adding with the straw, and any other garden material that the chickens won't eat goes in there. On the left here now, I started this pile just under 2 weeks ago. So that was made up from everything that was in bay 1 and some more straw and coffee and all that we had. So we stacked it in here, added a nice bit of nitrogen into it, and just heated up, you know, heated up to about 70 degrees Celsius. It was turned every 3 days. Now the heating process is kind of started to stop. So that means it's just breaking down. Like a lot of this was what that's in this pile as well came from the scrubland that this place was based on, so there's a lot of woody stuff, like, you know, like bits of branches and things like that. Not really great for that kind of compost. It'll take too long to break down. So we'll turn this another few times yet. We'll turn this one, gets turned into the one here on the left, and when they're done, after about, no, this one usually takes about a month, it comes in here. Like this one now is particularly woody, like, but this is pretty much done. Just left now. It'll be left here until around February, and then it'll be spread on the ground. And the worms are going to do the rest of the job on this. So it's just nice, fine enough material. The only thing is it gets very wet down here. You know, I cover over these compost bins, but you're not going to be able to stop the rain from seeping in. The last bay then is just a bay of manure. It was full up, so we've been adding that manure to the compost as well and letting it break down. It'll just add great fertility again to the soil, which is absolutely fantastic, you know. Just one kind of point to note as well on the compost, you know, it heats up, like, you know, especially this time of the year when everywhere outside is cold, so you are likely to get vermin like rats or mice will tend, you know, it's like there's a massive radiator here in the garden. It's 70 degrees Celsius. Everywhere else is like 0, -1. So obviously you're going to get things that want to come spend the night on top of this lovely warm compost. So that is the only issue, you know, so make sure you wash your hands. Another great way to get rid of waste and create massive amounts of fertility. There's probably nothing as fertile as what worms poop out, like worm castings. It's absolutely amazing stuff, highly dense in nutrients. And this, you don't really have to worry about it. I made a video on how easy it is to set it up. It took me about 20 minutes to set this up, all from recycled stuff that I had here. Every week I'm getting out this, I don't know, 20 litres, sometimes twice a week that's full, and I can add that as a organic compost tea fertilizer to the garden. And this thing, I just feed it with coffee and a few other stuff, that anything else really that I've kind of lying around, I don't really worry about it too much. All leaves, any organic matter again. But what I have in abundance now is coffee, so I put that in there. They eat it up, and I dug through them there a couple of days ago, and there's a massive amount of them, as well as worms. Actually, in this bin there's loads of little white maggots which is actually great for me, for the chickens, because they will absolutely love that stuff. See if I can find any of them here now. So all these little critters here, so there's a baby worm, and there's some of the maggots. So this is great food as well, like for the worms. It's just teeming with activity, as you can see. This is our chicken enclosure where we house our 10 chickens. We've got a few beds here planted. One is full of garlic at the moment. The one on the left we planted with broad beans. We were also lucky enough that we could we got all this wood chipped, you know. This guy, like, or we're looking at trying to get bags of wood chip in places, and you know, it was just really expensive, like, and without the wood chip it is just a mucky mess down here, like. So we were lucky enough, I was able to get a truckload of wood chip. Like, it was €60, but it was money well spent. We were able to do out all the paths here, completely cover this area, some in the polytunnel, and we still have a nice bit, like, of there was a massive hollow here in the ground, like, where there's actually about 1.5 feet of wood chip, so it's just kind of being stored in situ in the ground at the moment. that's it now for the garden tour. Thanks very much for watching, you know. So this is where we're at after 3 months, you know. We've put in a lot of work here, you know, but it was really enjoyable, especially as well, you know, with this whole lockdown. It's been great to get out and do something else, you know. I got my Permaculture Design Certificate back in 2013, so and I've been working in gardens ever since, mostly in the community settings, you know, community gardens and market gardens. So it's nice then to take all that stuff that I've learned and start to apply it down here, and as well learn some new skills, even like making videos, stuff that I've wanted to learn about for a long time, like, so I can use it in other aspects of my life as well, you know. So it's great, just that whole idea of permaculture, how it brings everything together, and you can find multiple uses out of find as many uses out of things as you can, you know. So the next video as well, like, I'm gonna make something about chickens, like, you know, about 5 things I didn't know about chickens before I got them, because we've got a lot of advice and we've talked to a lot of people, and I've seen I've been to people with houses with flocks and stuff like that, like, but it just doesn't kind of prepare you for everything in regards to chickens, you know. When there's so much that I kind of didn't know as well, that you know, not really complicated things, but things that surprised me a little bit, you know. Like that when you get chickens, like when, like, first of all, like, they came from a poultry farm, these chickens, like, and you know, just the concept of like roosting and using nesting boxes and things like that, obviously it's totally alien to the chicken. They've never seen a roosting bar or a nesting box, like, so it's just like you have this preconceived idea that they just know about these things, like, but it's like they didn't know, like, and having to train them then, like, to do these things, like, it was interesting enough, you know. So that's it, like, we've big plans now for the coming spring, you know. We're just going to take this time to observe the rest of the land, make a plan, work with what we have, and hopefully come spring we'll be able to reassess again and see where we want to go with this garden, you know. The polytunnel is going to be our main growing space. We're going to have a lot growing on outside. Already I want to expand this chicken flock to maybe 20 birds and a few ducks, but you know, that's that remains to be seen yet, I suppose. So thanks very much, guys, again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know, you could always subscribe. I'll keep posting anyway, because I'm learning, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Say goodbye, chicken.